thing of being a principal investigator. Now, this first pause a few minutes. First look at those papers. I give you 2 minutes because I was rushing you. Now you look at the paperwork and then we start the discussion. And the manager will tell us how long that discussion will be, but it should be quality time. It's 10:30. We have 30 minutes. Okay. 30 minutes to have the discussion, then we go for tea. All right. After a minute of looking at the paperwork, please internalize it. We shall pose questions, people online and those physical here. And I will start with my colleague from Kayunga. We are focusing on the micro enterprise. You think these things make sense? We are going to be very brief. You think these things make sense that you people in government can do like they do in agriculture for businesses? Yes.
Thank you, presenter. The name again is Samuel Mukasa, the District Commercial Officer, Kayunga. The presentation is making sense, yes and no. The no is that government is doing something to reach out to SMEs. And one of the critical areas you in your research, you have around 20 categories of SMEs that you're looking at. And government came on to address that under the MIOGA program. If you look at the MIOGA program, most of those enterprises are captured, the borders, the carpentry, salon, welders, name it, around 18 enterprises so far. And it was all depending on the funds available. That's the number they first looked at. And as funds come in, then government will also enroll more enterprises like the bricklaying and others which were left out. And this was demand driven. People are demanding that this category is not catered for. There are those in the butchery, name it. Extension services, yes, the extension services are very much wanting. Of course, government is crying with the wage bill. It cannot recruit. I'm heading a Department of Trade, Industry, and Cooperatives. Actually, we're two. I'm the head of the department, then the assistant, who is a commercial officer to that level. So very much wanting to be able to cover ground in the district. And today, the main program today is the parish government model. Everything has been put aside. Even Minister of Finance has directed all resources should be repurposed to parish government model. All other activities have been grounded and all money is channeled to PDM. And I can assure you, the program, the intention is very good. It's just on the implementation level that we're having issues.
I wanted Mr. Gaps to come in at that point. You are channeling model, all monies. We have proposed that money alone will not change the country, will not change the small businesses. How do you see our craziness? You Minister of Finance, you have ordered the Kayunga to put all money in the PDM, but you are not telling them how to manage, how to train them in management and marketing. You think we are making sense in that direction?
Thank you very much. It's a tricky question. We are not putting all money in PDM. That's not true. What is true is that we have asked the district commercial officers and the other collaborators we have in the district to put emphasis of their programs on supporting PDM implementation. So we are actually aligned to your research, your research findings, that money alone is not sufficient to enable businesses or micro businesses to thrive. My understanding is that you're treating the MIOGA and PDM circles and enterprise groups as micro enterprises. And we acknowledge that on one part, access to finance is critical, but that is not sufficient. So we have developed a national BDS framework. It's a multi-sectoral stakeholder generated compact, which captures aspects of business management, leadership, financial literacy, and other aspects which would support these businesses to thrive. And we are working with the district commercial officers. I think my colleague here can testify. I have been communicating with him on WhatsApp, but we've not met. Actually, the Kayunga team is probably our best team in the country, and I'm glad that you landed on them. I don't know how. So, so they are our local agents in delivering business development services to the community. That's why we have asked them to repurpose whatever resources they have to make sure that they reach out to the last mile persons in the parishes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gwapusi. Mr. Gwapusi is talking about money. Besides what we are talking about, Mr. Gwapusi was the national treasurer of all the Catholic students in Uganda in 1989. And in 1990, he handed over to me as the national treasurer. You can see small world. So we met in 1987 first time, and the small world. Mr. Moses Mabala, you are the district commercial officer of Wakiso. Now they are praising Kayunga in your presence. They are praising Kayunga in your presence. Can you give us the insight of how this financing model is being experienced briefly in Wakiso, given your urban setting? So we shall be able to see if this research makes sense.
You presenter and moderator. My name is Moses Mavala. I'm joining the other panelists to also support the findings of the research. And I want to say the following. One, I don't know whether in your research you were able to identify the characteristics of these MSMEs, and whether you were able to understand that the urban MSME differs from the rural one. Take an example, the Wakiso and the urban ones. They are very highly mobile. Two, they are highly informal in the sense that even the information dissemination you're talking about is not very easy to do. And therefore, it is very important that the MSMEs are actually structured. They are put in some kind of structure through which you can reach them. And that's why PDM makes sense here. And that's why Myoga makes sense here. The theory of structuralization, if I speak the academic language, is very clear. The structures without actors don't work. And actors without structures don't work. If you have MSMEs and they are not in a structure through which you reach them and help them and train them, they work. So PDM actually addresses the structure aspect of SMEs, through which we can disseminate, we can train, we can provide business development services. So I stand to think and believe that PDM is going to help and is going to do so much for MSMEs. That's one. Two, when I look at the model, money, management, and market, there's an assumption here that we have a product that is sellable, or we have a service that is sellable. That is the assumption. If we don't have a product, if we don't have a service that can be sellable, even if you give me money, I won't do much. Even if you train me, if I have a wrong product, I won't do much. If I have a product which has no market, even if you do give me money and all that, I am not going to succeed in the market. What PDM is doing is very clear. It's agricultural value chain, which we all know has markets both locally and internationally. So I am saying PDM is good, Emyoga is good, the model is good, but let's also focus on what goes to the market.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mabara. And I want to turn to the Commissioner, Minister of Trade. You are in charge of trade. And we have these people being supported with money. But then on the other side, how do they involve in that value chain of money up to trading? Are they doing it? Are they going to give us the value? Or we are going to be skewed to one side and then Minister of Trade is there in the name? Please come in.
Yes, thank you. Again, my name is Stephen Mbogo Kiria. Mbogo is, of course, from the eastern region, Umbale, small village of Kamunkoli. Representing actually the commissioner here. He wasn't here today, but I'm the acting assistant commissioner in the Department of Technological Research, Innovation, and Processing. Thank you very much for that presentation. It is really very good. SMEs, of course, have got a different issue altogether. I mean, when you talk of funds, I would first begin by saying there is that absorption rate which does not exist. I mean, recently, there's a saying that says, in the absence of constraint is the death of innovation. So you can imagine how much 80% of our Ugandan population is youth between 10 and 14 with innovative minds. That's why the president came up recently with a directive and said we should identify all technologies that exist, which are commercializable, and how do we fund them. But this is the problem. You have the COVID-19 relief fund which came up. 100 billion was given by PFIs, participating financial institutions. Another 100 billion was given by government. Only 12% of those funds have been accessed by SMEs. Now, why aren't they accessing? And they're complaining that there is no trade, there's no funds. One of the things is what you call dissemination of information, awareness creation. And the other biggest thing is, of course, the requirement list. Today, you tell an SME there is money in the funds, but then the requirement list is so long that they won't access it. You see? So now, those are the problems that SMEs are having today. When we come to value addition, we try to encourage, I mean, for example, maize has been one of the greatest products here in Uganda. And we know about the post-harvest losses. If you buy a cob of maize, it's 200 shillings. If you buy a processed cob of maize like cornflakes, that's 20,000 shillings. So value addition is very important. But then the question is, where are they going to get this frontier technology to do processing? So the ministry has got a lot of what they call activities and incentives they're putting in. We're trying to build, for example, common user facility centers, where we expect that if we have all these students coming out from universities and tertiary universities, they have access to these, what they call frontier technology, because the per capita income of Uganda is about $1. They can't afford a CNC machine. But if you have these common user facility centers, they can come and process their stuff and sell them at a high price, whatever price they have, and just a governing issue. So actually, there are a lot of issues, and we try to, one of the things that we try to promote with SMEs is, just to cut the story short, is, which I'm very happy about, is this triple helix model of academia, government, and what they call industry working hand together. It's very important that we have this coordination. And once we have this coordination, we have platforms like the MTIC platform, which we have come up. But if I ask how many of you have accessed the MTIC platform to see where you can get value addition, I mean, if you go on this platform.
Yes, I want us to, yes?
Yes, sorry about that. If you just go on this platform and just type in a commodity, it will tell you all the licensing, all the value products, all the laws, all the regulations that are concerned with this particular item. Anyway, to cut the story short, I hope I've just tried to answer your question.
Yes. You have mentioned two things which are very validating our study. One of them is that 3M model is not linear. If you check the arrows, that as you give them money, you train them, you tell them about market. Those arrows. So he has mentioned something that it's not a money first, you sleep and then you say management. They need to be trained. So if you check it, the arrows. The second thing you mentioned, which is very critical for us all here, we have many graduates who are in the villages doing nothing. So the model we are proposing, these graduates could be at minimum local government budgets be involved in these extension services. Many graduates of business are looking for jobs, they are there. And you have mentioned it about that. And if they involve in seeing what they are doing, I mean, small business are doing, then they pick the entrepreneurial mind, which we teach them in third year or second year to be able to do their own. But we have one from the Rio micro enterprises. So what's your experience briefly from the Rio micro enterprises, having heard from these government bureaucrats?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Birabosa. I'm the chairperson of Katwe Small Scale Industry Development Association. When I talk of Katwe, you all know it is where the Juakalis, the micro are most stayed. Then I'm also the national chairman of Micro and Small Enterprises. That is the Confederation of Micro and Small Enterprise Organization, Uganda chapter, which is affiliated to the East Africa. We have a regional organization, which is comprises of all partner states within the East African community, and I'm also the vice chairperson there. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this event. And as you say, it is unusual. Indeed, it is unusual because usually you don't invite us on such things. So that has made it also unusual to me. Mr. Moderator, first of all, I would like to thank you because when you talk of the interns to come and join us during the internship program, I saw many clapping, which means they welcome it. One of the way how you mentioned about skills, one of the way how we acquire skills, most of us, it is through apprenticeship, which means once we work with you, those who have graduated, those who are coming from the universities, and most of our people within the micro, within the Juakalis, they are school leavers. Most of them these days, they don't want to be called school dropouts. They prefer being called school leavers. Most of them are school leavers, below primary, secondary, and we have few who are from the university, very few of them. So if you join us, not only for